stage one is to go and have a look at the university, because there's heaps and heaps of virtual reality going on in the uni. And for that, I want to take you up 100 meters so you can see the entire campus. And as I say, you won't have to do anything. I just need to bring up the safety rail, because every week is safety week in the Verstraeten lab. So is everybody inside? You need to come a bit closer. Very good, because this will be our platform in a minute. Now I'm going to open the hole in the roof. You see now we have a large aperture, and then off we go. I'm going to fly after you, but this will take you there. So let me transport us to the world of anatomy. All right, so we're all together staring in the mirror. Magic tool I was warning you, basically. So what's going on here is that we're in an anatomy theatre. So the build 17th century construction, and we're at about the time when it was illegal to do anatomy. Now the Catholic Church. And so I one way to basically fix up.
Thank you. Sorry.
Experience.
Well, that's great. Thanks.
So what I'm going to show you first of all is what anatomy looks like in virtual reality by flying over and changing my avatar by shooting this one into this young lady. So this young lady is obviously a bit like your avatars. I have hands and I have feet, I have everything. The difference is that I can strip off the various layers of my body. So at the moment you're looking at my skin, but if I turn on off my skin,
that's kind of creepy.
My hands open and close when I operate my instrument, so every bone is regulated. And I look down and I see my own skeleton. If I take a step to the left, it takes a step to the left.
Wow.
If I take a step to the right, it takes a step to the right. So that's my bone. If I turn on another layer, you'll see now I'm muscle. This is my musculature, and if I look down at my own hands, I see every muscle moving when I pull on my controllers, which I find completely mind-bending. So let's turn off muscle, and now I'm blood. So this is my venous and arterial blood circulatory system. If I get rid of blood and I switch to nerves, here's the nerves, starting with the brain and including eyes, because that's part of your nervous system. If I now change to lymph, this is my lymph system. Now, I thought this was absolutely mind-bending.
That's disgusting.
It's a very not glamorous, frankly, part of your body. And yet, look how incredibly intricate it is. So I thought this was a great example of education, because this is obviously completely different than looking at flat images in a book. I actually see my body on my body, and I come away with this sort of this powerful impression that I should look after it better. I should smoke less, or I should drink less, because I find this, completely compelling, basically. All right, so having had a little look, I've got one more layer here. There's my organs. That's really creepy, isn't it? So if I turn them all back on again, I can build my body back layer upon layer upon layer until I'm back to the girl that we first started with. It's like a magic trick, isn't it? So that's a quick example of what you can do in anatomy. All right, we're back.
Oh.
Are we all here? Yes, good, we're all here. Okay, that was example number one, education. And example number two is similar, I suppose. It's also education, but it speaks to safety and economy of better education. So I'm going to take us to the chemistry lab next. So bear with me, here comes chemistry. All right, we're all arriving in chemistry. And here's some other human beings. So this is what I wanted to show you next, is interaction across great distances. You'll see these two people over here are not here in the room, obviously. They're at chemistry. So you can, if I get my magic tool and bring you closer, you'll be able to shake the hands of people far.
Oh, we can do us.
There we go.
All right, so I'm going to bring everyone closer. Ta-da! All right, so we're all here.
Pleasure to meet you.
You can see we're still working on the
Pleasure
handshakes.
to meet you.
The handshakes aren't
I'm
quite
very
right, I'll
impressed
have
with
to
all these
admit.
handshakes. Oh, I haven't one more. There we go.
All right, so as you can see, this looks a bit like a chemistry lab, a fairly well-equipped one. Someone has some money. Except that I built all of this for nothing. All of these were free assets off the internet, didn't cost a single cent. And I thought we could listen to the chemists rather than me talk about chemistry, because that's the power of virtual reality, is that we can all be here together.
All right, well,
Press the button.
what's happened to who's talking first?
Oh, I don't like
Yeah,
that.
he's flying. He's flying.
Here we go.
We got a god here.
All right, so what's going on in chemistry?
All right, I'll ignore the flying. Hi, my name's Stephen George Williams, and with me is Rain Pullen. We're two new education-focused lecturers in the School of Chemistry, and we're really, really excited about using using VR to either help students.
Yeah, no,
Can you get him down here?
I'm not
She
going to
can't
teleport
see
him
him.
again now.
Oh, is everything okay?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Maybe I'll come back around
I'll
here.
put my grumpy avatar on.
Hang on, I'll bring it down. I'll bring you down then. There you
There
go.
we go.
There we
go.
go.
There we are.
Yeah, as I was saying, so being able to do dangerous experiments in this environment where obviously students won't be able to hurt themselves is a huge benefit to us, and also allowing people to develop their techniques here before they get into the real labs and to the real environments. This is also, from a research perspective, super exciting because no one's really looked into this before. So it would be cutting edge and at the forefront of that. So it's a big part of what we're really interested in. Rain, do you want to take it from there?
Yeah, so I suppose one of the areas we're interested in, of course, is the laboratory, and you can kind of see that around us right now. Another area that we want to develop resources for is actually looking at the way that we teach our tutorials. So chemistry, one of the biggest concerns that we have is that idea of studying things from a symbolic or a representational model and then being able to convert that thinking to effectively what's happening at the molecular level. In an environment like this, we can then take students from, say, a macro perspective, looking at substances, solids, reactions from what we would see in our own vision, bring that right down into the actual mechanics or the actual reactions themselves at a molecular level. And there is a lot of visualization work out there, but it's quite often not really an active engagement. You're just watching something happen. Here we could get students to potentially interact and change the properties or conditions and see what actually that affects in terms of the chemistry reactions occurring.
Excellent. Excellent.
And
So
the last thing that we're super excited by is how much we can put this in the hands of the students. So they'd be able to create their own worlds and their own lessons and actually be partners in that learning space with us.
assemble
Things
their
like this
own
molecule in the
molecules.
middle that you might be able to see. You can easily pick things up and move them around themselves rather than us doing it for the students. So very, very excited. Again, as that is another possibility for them to be able to learn.
All right, can I finish with my special effect?
Yes, please.
So I was telling these guys that I got excited about when I read the news just the other day. I don't know if you guys read about a student that was injured a couple of years ago doing an experiment called the rainbow salts experiment. Do you see how these flames are burning with different colors of the rainbow? This particular kid was burnt when the bottle of ethanol exploded, and the payout last week in the United States for that one student, of which 12 were injured, was $85 million. And so I thought, ouch, that would really basically bankrupt your chemistry department, I'm imagining. So we got excited about perhaps trying to do this experiment a few times virtually until we're safe, and then try the real experiment. I want to show you my special effect of why that's important. If I touch the ethanol bottle,
Whoa.
the next stop is, bear with me, CQ anatomy, Hornsby. Vet clinic. This one I think you'll really think is interesting, right? We're going to the vet clinic.
Oh,
Or at least I hope you will.
tell me they're real dogs with Oculus on.
All right, so it's slowly loading. This may be dangerous to load this particular world, because in a minute I'm going to explain to you that this is the most complicated world I would say we've ever made, but it wasn't made by us, it was made by the vet students. It's just loading for me, hopefully for you as well.
I wonder how much this costs.
Oh, great. Okay, so what you can see on the screen, this is what the students labelled the University of Sydney Veterinary Science. And the story is that I had some vet students come to visit, and I suggested, why don't you make some asset that might be useful for other vet students? And I explained to them how to get free assets off the internet, and they went away for 3 days. And when they came back, they had a memory stick on them, and inside the memory stick, I found 2,176 objects, which by the time they'd laid out 30 or 40 products for dogs and 900 packets of dog biscuits, etc., etc. It became a very, very heavy and computer-intensive world. But in a second, I'll come and teleport you all a bit closer so that you can speak to what I hope are some real vet students. Oh yeah, there I can see one real vet student. Say hello.
Hello.
Okay, so this is the easy way to tell the difference between a virtual character and a real character, is that they wave back. So here we are in the world of research. I'm just going to get my tool to bring you down to the ground. There we go.
Got it done.
Oh, you guys are already too good at flying. I don't need my tool anymore. Have fun.
Easy.
All right, so here we are with the world of BMC. Do we have any participants? Oh, yes, there's one.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Who's that?
Michael Bowen here, and I've got my
Excellent.
How are you?
here with me. Hi guys, waving.
Hi Michael, how are you doing?
Great to see
Hello,
you.
very good to see you.
Well, actually, I can't see you.
I can.
You are
Oh,
a
you
fair
see?
man.
Shrunk down
You've
to the
never
molecular
looked. I
scale.
can't see your hair. I hope
Yeah,
you
yeah.
modeled your hair right.
It's very tricky
Wow,
to do that, Ian.
how soon people expect full body avatars. You know, full body avatars have only been possible for about a month, and we used to look like that for 2 years, and now suddenly you're making fun of looking like
I
that.
know, we're hollow man.
Full of good ideas, though. All right, so what's going on in here?
Right, so I'm going to take you through with Lewis some work we've been doing at the molecular scale, trying to better understand what's going on with some very severe emerging forms of pediatric epilepsy that we've been examining in a project. So to give you a little bit of an overview, we're looking at these specific mutations, genetic mutations in these sites in the brain called GABA-A receptors. Now, these receptors are the most important inhibitory receptors in the brain. And what's interesting is kids with these mutations not only have a really, really severe form of epilepsy, but they also don't respond to any of the existing anti-epileptic drugs. Now, where Lewis's work comes in is he's creating computer models of these mutated receptors so that we can understand at the atomic and at the molecular level what's causing these issues with the functioning of these receptors, why aren't the existing drugs working, and where do we need to be targeting on these receptors to design better therapeutics moving forward. So I'll hand you over to Lewis now to take you through the work that he's been doing.
Okay, thanks, Michael. And I believe there's a light set up on the focal point. So this is actually a model of a GABA-A receptor. It's been scanned with high-energy X-rays to determine the structure. And I've highlighted, amongst the ribbons of the protein, I've highlighted some yellow dots, and these are the locations of the mutations that are normally refractory to the traditional treatments used for epilepsy. And in our simulations, these proteins will jiggle around. They're highly dynamic, and their function is related to their structure. And in the simulations, the protein moves around, and we interact the protein in the presence of a cannabinoid. So I'm moving a cannabinoid molecule around that protein there. This is something like what you might see in one of the simulations. And it's been fantastic for me because, I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours looking at flat versions of these images. But it's a real game changer to be able to see it in an intuitive environment like this, where you can see how the structure relates to the function. So I might hand back over to Hamish there.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Wow, you guys are really having a good time.
That's terrific.
That is fun.
That is really terrific.
That is really good.
So that's a quick example of research. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Enjoy the rest of your tour. Bye-bye.
And We're now going back to the
Oh,
to our
jeez.
to the stack. All right. So what I wanted to show you next is that this. Well, what we're doing at the moment is going to other places at the uni, and we can do that because it's basically line of sight from up here. But obviously, the whole point of virtual reality is the distance is totally arbitrary, and we can go as far and as wide as we like. So for the next destination, I'd like to first take us back to the lab, since it's about to be the hub of virtual reality at Sydney Uni, of course. So bear with me, and if you guys could come back to the platform, otherwise you're in for a big surprise. All right, is everyone on the platform? All right, I'm taking us back to the lab, starting now.